Now what you're looking at here is a game that they have. It's actually a real life game. It's called Marble Run. And as they go, these marbles race down these tracks and go these really cool paths all around until they get to the end of the track. Now, this is a very long video. I just wanted to show you the idea of it. But if you look here, you can see it's a type of game, like you could totally buy this game if you wanted to. Marble Run, see? So we're going to do some of this type of stuff on TinkerCAD, and it's really fun. Now, we use TinkerCAD to make stuff that is basically, 3D printing stuff. But you can also do mechanical, real-life physics sims on this, okay? So I'm going to show you guys an example. For the first assignment, we're not going to get this crazy with this one, but I'm going to show you one that I made on here. You can see the goal is to get the marble in here at the end. And we have 2 marbles in here, but the goal is to get this last marble to drop in here. So if you watch, I'm going to show you what's going to happen so you're ready for it. We use the sim lab. This top one's going to start the dominoes. The dominoes are going to push this in a circle. It's going to hit this. That's going to hit this marble. It's going to drop through this, roll forward, drop through the hole, around the slide, down the ramp, and into here. So let's check that out. Whoops. Let's not check it out. Let's try that again. Sorry. So the marble goes when we start playing it, hits the dominoes, knocks that thing around, that hits this, down the hole, around the spiral ramp, and into the goal. Now that's the goal what we're going to have, but at first I want you to practice with this a little bit so that we don't do anything quite that complicated, okay? We're going to do a kind of an easier version of this today. When you do this final version at another assignment later, not right now, you're going to have your freedom to design this the way that you want it to be. And really, you can make it as cool as you want it. Mine is pretty basic, but you could do whatever. So we're going to go back and I'm going to start a new assignment. And this is where you should start actually. This is the type of stuff that I would like you guys to do, okay? So we're going to go and make a new design. And again, we won't be 3D printing this. This is more of a sim lab, which simulates physics, like moving parts. Up here, you're going to go up here and type Marble Run #1 and then your name on it. Marble Run #1, your name, because this is our first assignment. This is not going to be the only one we do. Okay. First of all, we're going to make a ramp like the one I had in that assignment that I just showed you. So I'm going to drag out a box, and you're just going to stretch it out. You know, for this assignment, I'm going to be honest with you, the exact measurements aren't that important. I'm going to make it a little wider and make it, you know, pretty long, about like that. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and I'm going to grab a cylinder. And if you want to, you can hold it down and push it till it goes sideways up against this surface. Now, if you don't do that, and then you can let go of it. Or you could do it the other way. You could totally do it like this. Let it go. You could turn it and then lift it up. There's lots of ways to do that. And then move it over here. Or you could set it down and you can press the magnet button or the cruise button or press C. You grab this little dot and then you can stick it wherever you want. I want it about right there. And then I'm going to do is I'm going to take it, click off of it, and then see this black arrow? I'm going to lift it up. And I want it to be above halfway. We don't need the groove to be super deep. Right there should be fine. So it's about like that. I'd recommend also switching to flat view when you design this. It makes it a lot easier in my opinion. Now I'm going to grab this black dot right here and stretch this out until it goes all the way through. And notice how it's a hole, so it's going to cut. So I need to grab these. Let's take a look at it from above. You know what? Let's make that in the middle a little bit. Just use my arrow keys. I'm going to nudge it over. It doesn't matter really. I think that's good enough. And then I'm going to grab it and group it together. See, now we have this red box that has a groove in it for our marble to ride in. I need to lift this up. I want this to be up in the air a little bit. And then we want it to be downhill tilted. So I'm going to grab this, move my mouse to the outside of the wheel. If I move it on the inside of the wheel, it has to, you know, I mean, that would be okay, but I don't want to go quite that far. I want it to go a little slower, so I'm going to go maybe something like that. Doesn't matter if yours isn't exactly like this, that's fine. We need to put the marble on there, and we're going to use the cruise to do that. First, I would get a good view from this angle, and we're going to put it right at the top of the ramp. So I'm going to hold it down, and if I keep holding it down, it'll automatically use the cruise tool or the magnet to lock in place right here. And I'm going to let go. And there we go. Now I want to show you something. We're going to go and click this apple. The apple is SimLab. See this? This is design. We're going to go back and forth between the apple and the design mode. Right now we're in 3D design. We're going to click on here, the apple, to go SimLab. See how the apple's falling? That means that in SimLab, that's where things get animated and there's physics and the gravity actually takes hold of things and moves it. Now watch, this is not going to work very well, and you're going to see why in a moment. If I press the play button right now, it just falls. Okay, let's go down here and we have to reset it. Anytime you could watch and replay it with the scrub tool to see what happened. You can press play, but I'm going to reset that. And once it's reset, I'm going to click this box with the ramp that we made. And I'm going to go over here to this button right up here, make static. Now, what does the word static means? Static means that it stays in place. It doesn't move. See, the opposite of static is the word dynamic. Dynamic are things that change or move over time. For example, your age in life, your age is dynamic. It changes over time. Things that are static, like in the room, most of the countertops are static. They don't move. The chairs and the stools, those are dynamic. They move every day. People move them in and out, whatever. So static versus dynamic, that's a really important idea. And we can tell that if we click the ball, you can see it's moving. Leave that alone. We don't want to make that static. If I click this ramp, I want to make that dynamic or static. So I click this, and now if you look at it, it is static. Okay? And you can press that back and forth to change it between dynamic, which moves, and static. Okay, now let's try running our sim. I'm going to get a good view and press play. That's what we want. Hey, it's moving. Hey, that's great news. Awesome. Let's reset it. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to make some dominoes like I had in mind. So you have to go back to the design tool. You can't do design, and you can move things around in here, but you can't change the design unless you go out here. So I'm going to go back to the design tool, and you know what? I'm going to lift these up and move them back a little ways. And I want to make room for our dominoes. So for that, let's grab one of these, another box. I'll stretch it way out, and I'll make it a little bit wider also. Let's get a good top view, and you can see those aren't quite lined up. Wow, I made them almost the same size. Again, exact dimensions aren't that important here. Now what I'm going to do is get a view so I can see this little dip, and I'm going to grab the black arrow on this new box, and I'm going to lift it until it's about right there. See how that thing, the ramp barely has room, and the ball's going to come. Actually, let's not do that. Let's move it down a little ways. So our domino, so it hits the top of the domino instead. Yeah, let's do something like that instead. See, we got a little bit of room, so this is going to hit, and it'll hit the top of the dominoes. Let's drag out another box and cruise it up on the top and leave it right here. I'm going to change the color just to make it look cooler. There we go. And we need to make these dominoes thin. So I'm going to grab this dimension and squish it down a little bit and stretch it to make it taller so that the ball's going to hit it at the top. Now we can always move this later if we want to, but let's see and make sure that's lined up. Oh, it's not really lined up at all, is it? So I'll move that over a couple times. There we go. That's pretty good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to click this shape, and we want to make a whole bunch of them. Hey, work smart, not hard. So watch. Listen carefully, because if you do this right, you can do this very quickly. I'm going to click duplicate, and I'm going to move it with my arrow key until it's about that far apart. Something like that. That should be good enough. Now, don't click off of it. If you click off of it, you're going to have to do this again and again. But watch. If you don't click off of this, you move it and don't click off of it first. You just click duplicate. As long as you didn't click off, it will move and duplicate both of the things you just did. Move, duplicate, move, duplicate, move, duplicate, or duplicate, move, duplicate, move, duplicate, move, duplicate, move. That's good enough. Okay, let's go back. Now we have this set up. Let's go back into SimLab. Now again, what if we run it now? We never made this static, so if we do this now, it's all just going to fall down. Pretty cool looking, but that's not what we want. So let's reset and grab this box and let's make it static. Remember, dynamic moves, static stays still. There we go. So now we have that part done. And we're going to click play again and see if our dominoes work. Awesome. That's exactly what we wanted. Perfect. All right, cool. So now let's go back in here. And you know what I'm going to do? I want some more room to work with. I'm running out of space. So you see how the grid down here is not big enough? We're going to go down to here to settings. And you know the grid? Here we go. See this? This grid, I'm going to change it to 1000 by 1000. And I think that might be the biggest you can make it. Okay, now we got plenty of room to do what we want to do. Okay, cool. Let's take our box that we made static and let's stretch it out just a little bit further. See you later, bud. Have a good day. Sorry, I had a student leaving, everybody. Had to say goodbye. Okay, so I'm going to grab the sphere and I'm going to put a sphere at the end of this thing. Let's get a top view and we can move that around with the arrow keys so it lines up pretty well with these boxes. Sorry, not boxes, they're dominoes now. And then what I want to do is let's put a goal down here and see if we can make it fall into the goal. And then you'll be done with this. Uh-oh, look at this. So I use this one, it's called a tube. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the radius. Now look at this. If we look at this, the radius of this is, or excuse me, the diameter of this thing is about 20. You know what? Let's go ahead and click here. We'll just make this thing really big. Actually, you know what? We don't even need to do that. Let's just stretch it out. So let's hold down Shift and make it bigger so it's a little easier goal to hit. Now, I don't know if it's going to fall in there right away. And I'm going to put text down. Let's put text down that says goal. Change the text to goal. You know what? I think it looks better with capitals. G-O-A. Whoops, sorry. G-O-A-L. So that's kind of cool. It kind of like shows us what's going on here. And I'm going to change the color of that just because I want it to look better. I'm going to change it to white. Okay, now let's take a look at this. If we did it right, it's going to fall in there. We might have to make some adjustments because you got to make it work. I want this thing to actually fall in here, okay? So you might have to adjust and tweak a few things. You know, when stuff is falling over, it's not exactly it's not a perfect exact science. So I'm going to go in here now. And I don't want my goal or my text to move, so I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to make both of those static again. Static means it doesn't move. Okay, let's watch and let's run this and see if it works. If I did it right, the dominoes are going to knock this in here, and it's going to fall in here. I think it might fall down here, but let's see. Knocks over the dominoes. Hey, we made it. Now, I wanted to show you what happens. Maybe it didn't make it, okay? You might have to do some adjustments. So if I move this over here and I run it, uh-oh, that didn't work. Now there's some things you can do to tweak it, right? You could move the ramp. You could move this stuff. So it might not always go right in there right away. But when you have it so that you have a ramp with a groove in it where the marble goes down, it hits dominoes, and the dominoes knock another ball in here, that's when you're going to raise your hand and you're going to show Mr. Woodchick. I'll come around and I'll mark it down because I saw it work, and I'll say, hey, good job, and I'll give you 10 points for this. So let's run this one more time and see if I fixed it back the right way. Hey, all right. Now, if you're having problems, oh, and that, by the way, you can actually do this, but like there's a way that you can spam shapes. Our assignment doesn't really use that, but I'm glad I showed you this. You can use this to throw shapes around. But for our assignment, it doesn't, we don't really need that. So like, for example, I'll just show you what you could do. You could click here, you could press play, and you could click and put like bananas there, stuff like that. And see, it kind of messed everything up. The soccer ball got in the way. For our assignment, we're not going to use that, but I thought I'd show you anyways, okay? Hey, I want you to have fun with this a little bit. When you get this done, show me, and then you can spend your extra time playing around with it to make other cool things. Like, for example, I'll give you a preview of what we could do, which is a really cool idea if you have extra time, is we can move all this stuff up, and maybe you could figure out how to make a spiral ramp. Move this back a little bit, and if you go here, what you can do is you go to the search button and you search spring, S-P-R-I-N-G. And we want to use this guy right here. See this spring? Drag that out. And it's very, very small. And again, you don't really have to do this, but I'll just show you in case you want to play around with it. Hold down Shift, and we need to make it much, much bigger. Something like that should be okay. You can see what's going to happen is the ball has to go on the inside of this, so it has to be bigger than the ball. I'll keep holding down Shift. I want to make it a little bit bigger still. There we go. Okay, here's how you make a ramp that's a spiral. It's really cool. You go here and you duplicate the spring that we just made after it's the correct size. Duplicate it, and see the duplicate copy that's in there? You're going to move that one up a little bit. You see, I moved it up about 7 millimeters. That may be even too much. You don't even have to go that much. Let's just go like 3 millimeters. There you go, 4. Okay, you're going to change that to a hole, grab them both at the same time and group them. The original one will be positive. The one you made and moved up is going to be negative, and it's going to cut out a groove. Basically, it's going to cut out a slide, you can see. So now we have a slide for our marble. Problem is, you can see it's not facing the correct direction, so I need to rotate it with the spinning tool. See if you can do this. You don't have to today, but just for fun, if you have extra time, this would be the next level. We might have to move it a little bit so that the marble is going to go in there. That's cool. And then let's put our goal over here a little bit closer. Get a good view. Ooh, see, it's not lined up quite, is it? Okay, let's go back to SimLab, and let's run this one. And again, if you do this one, maybe I'll give you a couple points extra credit. If you do the basic one that I showed you already, that's fine. If you put the spiral part in, that's a little harder, I'll give you a little extra credit, maybe 12 points instead of 10. All right, so let's give that a try. Oh, wait a minute. It's going to fall over unless we make it static. And now let's give it a spin. Oh, hey, it worked, kinda. Let's see if it goes in the goal. Yeah, there we go. Okay, hey, like I said, if you want to give that a try, I think you're going to have fun with that. And then you can play around with other stuff too to make it even cooler if you have extra time after that. Hey, thanks for watching, you guys. This is a really fun assignment, I think. I think we're going to enjoy this.